Welcome, our fellow lovers of love, and thank you for joining us on yet another excursion through the stream of consciousness down the river of tranquility to fill the lake of life with love.
Good evening, our fellow lovers of love out there. Well, I guess it's not evening for us. We've just been all off schedule these last few
We
weeks.
have. Our lives are getting very busy.
Why are you facing backwards to the camera?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, you'd gotten out of that habit, and anyway, got back in it. Anyway, so that was a terrible intro. So there we go. I hadn't planned this intro out at all, so I'm all off kilter. Anyway, and I've got the reason we're doing it this week. Last week we had last week was the family event.
Yes.
Last week was the family event. The week before you had something, wasn't it? We've been off kilter like 3 or 4 weeks, or 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Maybe it was.
No, 2. Just 2 now.
And this is our 3rd one that we've been weird with. But anyway, we've been weird. This is our 3rd one in like the month we've been weird with. So it's like 3 out of this is our 3rd out of the last 4 were kind of off schedule. But stuff happens tonight. I've got a work thing, and it's kind of the end of an era type thing. So, I could have squeezed in our normal thing, but it just wants to.
No
one wants to have that kind of energy. But speaking of the kind of energy, you and me were having a discussion earlier this week, and I put it on the thing.
Okay.
All right. Because we were talking about, is sitting around and, doom scrolling, is doing nothing, doing something? Or is it doing nothing? If you're sitting around, like, point was, I had been watching,
I'm on Facebook.
Well, the point was, I had been watching YouTube for 2 hours or so, and I couldn't tell you a thing that I had watched. It was like those 2 hours didn't exist, just poofed out of existence, right? There was literally no impact on these brain cells in any shape, manner, or form. So was I doing nothing, or was I doing something?
I'd say you were doing nothing. You were vegging out, and that has a purpose,
Yeah. So is that a purpose? Sometimes do you need to
disconnect, man. Just
turn off,
zen?
It's a strange way to do it, but I guess the bigger question is that what doom scrolling is?
Well, it can be, I think. Yeah.
When people sit there and just kind of doom scroll mindlessly, are they disconnecting from the world? Someone like me who sits there and notice, hey, I just spent 2 hours doing nothing. I should probably contemplate that for a minute, versus someone who repeatedly does that and makes no contemplation of it at all.
Okay.
Are those 2 different things? Or is it just the same thing? I happen to be a little more mindful, but it fundamentally is the same thing. I happen to recognize and accept that I do it, and I'm willing to speak about it with the world. Everybody else kind of laughs about doom scrolling, but very few people.
But they won't admit it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. They won't admit what role it does or doesn't play.
Oh. Okay.
Is it a role? It's, you're sitting in the waiting room, you're waiting for somebody or something. Yeah, sure, you're doom scrolling on social media. You're literally killing time. But
yes,
you're doing something. You're killing time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But there's times that you're not killing time. You maybe have stuff to do, or you should be doing something else, or you sat down with the intention of being some light entertainment, and next thing you know, you've literally done nothing. You weren't even entertained because it didn't connect with you in any shape, manner, or form. It was just, you might as well have been sitting on the docks of the bay and watching the ships go in and out, right? For all the
Well, isn't that what it is?
I suppose it is. So, and how important is that kind of thing, in our lives, versus how dangerous is it? All right, you need to unplug every now and again. And even if doom scrolling is a way of unplugging, okay, fine. But unplugging now and again versus unplugging because you don't want to deal with the realities of your life. You do it too often. You find yourself, losing 3 or 4 hours to some form of entertainment.
Well, I used to do that, but I was trying to escape. And I recognize that now. I was very unhappy. And that situation changed, and I was able to come out from under a foggy cloud and started getting active and losing weight, walking, and just started doing self-care things, that we actually talked about in our show.
Started doing some of these things.
Even more of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing meditation and yoga all through. That's the only thing that kept my sanity,
Well, and there are times where this show has been, therapy for one.
It has,
both,
yes,
or,
definitely.
So we do get that. We do get that benefit from this. If nothing else, if nothing else, we get to kind of do a live therapy session between ourselves. So that's always fun. But I forgot to read our things. So no wonder the intro was all messed up. I didn't read it today. So join us for a roller coaster of real talk as we debate the doom scrolling as a guilty pleasure or a productive pitfall. Relationship woes take center stage as we unpack everything from tooth fairy debates to infidelity accusations. Parenting gets real with tales of tantrums and time management. And in the work world, we navigate nosy coworkers and notice periods. So grab your headphones and get ready for some late night love. No wonder I'm all off the charts today. I wasn't. Good Lord. I told you I'm all discombobulated. So
yes, you are. Well, it's an emotional day.
It's an emotional day. It's an emotional day. I still haven't decided on kind of how exactly those last 5 minutes are going to go. So we'll see how that goes. So we're on to our relationships. That's something for next week's discussion, probably. Yes. All right. So
my husband thinks the tooth fairy is real, and he's 34. How do I convince him he's not? She was saying, their child lost her tooth, and she said, okay, I'll get $1. And he said, let the tooth fairy do it. And she says, what are you talking about? And he says, people are discounting mythical creatures nowadays. We don't have any magic left in our life.
So, well, here's the thing. Let's go get $1 and put it under the pillow. It'll be the tooth fairy. Some things aren't worth the fight.
It's really not. But it's one of those moments where you look at your husband and you go, oh, what did I do?
Either he really doesn't know or he's just kind of making overly fun of it. It's hard to kind of tell from 5,000 miles away or whatever, but don't make a thing. There's no point. Just get the $1 and stick it under the pillow. That's my suggestion. There's no reason. Don't try to convince him. Because you know what? You are the mythical creature that called the tooth fairy. It's you. That's who the tooth fairy is. It's the same thing as Santa Claus. Santa Claus is you. So the tooth fairy is real. Very real. It's everybody who wants to put $1 under a pillow when a child loses a tooth. You are the tooth fairy. It is magical.
It's wonderful. It is.
It is. And it's a magical, wonderful, mythical thing. But don't let your husband spoil it. Go get the $1 and put it under the table, under the pillow. There's my answer. All right. What's next?
My coworker put me on a hear me out cake and posted it online. Do I take action in some way? Now, he put a picture on a cake of her and put on there, hear me out. And then he posted a really flirty message.
Well, it's a strange way of telling you he's interested in you, I suppose. Now, do you like that kind of thing or not? If you want that kind of attention, you tell him, sorry, I'm not interested in you that way. You're a nice person, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not you, it's me, the whole kind of thing. Right? That's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you are, interested in some form, then, at 18 and 2020, at 18 and 22, they're not far enough up a food chain where seeing another coworker is anything at most awkward if it breaks up. That's the worst thing that happens.
Yeah.
Because you're low level employees at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
You're not anybody's bosses. So if you're interested, go through with it. Knock yourselves out. If you're not, you just have to politely explain to them that, I appreciate it's flattering, but it's, send him on his way. And young man, don't do this kind of thing on social media. If you're actually interested in her,
he did it a part of a group chat.
You don't do that. No, this is morons. Morons. I know the kids these days, they spend so much time isolated. The best way to tell someone you're interested in them is you walk up to them and say, hey, would you like to go have lunch or a coffee sometime? Everybody knows what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best way to do it because then no one's feels overwhelmed or social pressure. It's nice and quiet and no one gets embarrassed if anybody says no, and no one feels pressured because there's a bunch of other people around. So if you're really genuinely interested in somebody, take the second and have a personal conversation. Start with something light. I suggest on the first meeting, date, whatever you want to call it, is you don't go to dinner. Dinners take too long. They're too involved.
Coffee. We went out. We had pizza.
No, we decided during the thing to stop and have pizza. We were just going to go walk around Old Sacramento.
Yeah.
We weren't doing anything because I don't drink coffee.
We were just going to meet.
Yeah, because I don't drink coffee. So, let's just go meet down here. We'll wander. It's where people meet and wander around. So we'll go meet and wander around. And kind of what we did. That's a perfectly fine first encounter. Still wasn't a date.
We ended up laying out on a lawn kissing. That's a date.
No, it wasn't, because we didn't plan any of that, so it wasn't a date. All right. We had nothing planned.
You're killing me.
All right, what's next?
My husband is convinced I'm cheating on him or have in the past, and I never did. How do we get past this? I always, when they won't take no for an answer, I always wonder, what are they up to?
Well, that could be it. Or the other thing is, okay, why?
Mm-hmm.
The question is, okay, why do you think I've been cheating on you? Is it just some insecurity? Is he feeling like a failure? And so he's, well, of course she is, because I'm feeling like a failure. So of course she's going to go find someone who's not a failure. So he's essentially projecting his insecurities onto her. Hardly possible. This is clearly about him in some shape, manner, or form.
Yeah, it is.
So the question is, okay, why do you think that way? It's a ridiculous concept, but okay, let's hear it. Let's walk through it. Why do you think this? Just walk through. Instead of being defensive, just say, okay, let's walk through it. Why do you think that?
Get logical with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If you ever want to beat a man at his own game, get logical, because park your emotions for a minute. You got it. Just logically walk through why. And eventually you'll figure out why.
Okay.
One way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether it's your theory or mine. We could both be right, to be honest, or both be completely wrong. But I bet you on this one of us was right. There's
One
either
of us is right.
there's either some severe insecurity and maybe in an insecure mind, you're looking out at perfectly normal events. She's been spending a lot of time at her sister's house or something, right? And who knows? And they haven't been romantically involved in a long time. And he's, went from a high-paying job to a mid-paying job. So now she's the one making a lot of money. There's all kinds of things that in a man who's not being as successful as either he used to be or he wants to
Or
be.
he thinks he should be.
Or even worse, that he thinks you want him to be. A man can adjust his own perceptions of himself. But what he can't adjust is his perception of what his loved one thinks of him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's beyond his control.
Well, no, but his perception of it, she may have a different actual perspective. He may think she views him as a failure, and she may think he's fine. He works hard. He
brings his paycheck home every week.
He brings a paycheck home. Yeah. It's not his fault that people ran his old job into the ground, and the only one around he could find was one that paid half as much. But he's still out there doing his thing. He still comes home. He does. She could think you're just fine, just still the same person. Circumstances have changed, but shrug it off. But if he thinks she views him less, then he's going to have, and this kind of thought process can start to spiral as anybody else. Yeah. Okay. So, but it's one of these things. It's about him. So find out. Ask why. Park your emotions. Ask why. Okay.
I'm considering leaving my girlfriend after she catfished me as a prank, and he didn't even bite.
Well, as he should consider leaving his girlfriend.
I would. That's a serious head game.
Yeah, we just talked about someone being insecure. That's what that is. That his girlfriend is not secure enough to have a functional relationship. She is looking for a relationship to crash. She is looking for it. So of course it will. Because she's going to cause it to.
She just did.
Yeah, because if you look for trouble in a relationship, you can find it, even if you have to invent it yourself, or in this case, make it yourself. A fire eater will eat fire, even if you have to kindle the flames. We've just kind of had two opposite sides of this thing. So what do? You consider leaving your girlfriend. Strongly consider. I'll even add that. That's what you do. And I'm not going to say, maybe she was going through a depressive episode and it can be excused after some effort, right? I'm not going to be.
No.
I'm not going to be. I tend to be forgiving.
You do, and I love that about you.
I tend to be forgiving. And so if she was going through something, you stand by them, and they work their way through it, then you stand by them. As long as they're willing to work their way through it, then you can stand by them. I think that's
as long as they're trying.
Yeah, as long as they're trying. As long as it's and there's points to that, there comes a point in anything's life where the final straw, but as I like to say, the straw that breaks the camel's back is rarely very heavy. So you forgive too often, too long. You're carrying too much, and sometimes something silly is going to break your back. But it's not what was silly; it was everything else.
Yeah.
So, but as long as she's trying, as long as she's putting back, she's doing her side of the relationship and filling, and carrying her loads. But I would strongly consider leaving her, because my guess is she is either too hurt or too immature to have a functional relationship right now. And don't need, it's not your responsibility to walk her through that. You can choose to, but it's not your responsibility to stand by her through it. Okay. What is next?
Fiance insists I cut off my parents, struggling with the decision. He is. And now she blames his parents for the fights in their relationship about the things that he talks to her about that he would like them to change. And she's like, oh, you're just getting that from your parents. It's not.
Well, one, you be anybody, regardless of the genders. This is kind of the stereotypical gender reverse roles. Even though it's a stereotype type, that's a stereotype that should not exist because this kind of thing goes both ways.
It really does.
I mean, studies have been done that it's relatively equal. When you factor in all types of abuse, it's relatively equal.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because that's what that is. Anytime someone tells you to cut off your support structure, pre-existing support structure, you become very, very suspicious, if not of their motives, of their personality. It's my suggestion. It's there's either a motive problem or a personality problem. Probably both. But so you become very, very suspicious. Now, there are toxic parents. Toxic parents do exist. There are parents who will try to sabotage a relationship because they don't think that person is good enough, type thing.
And no one ever is.
And no one ever is. So there is some of that, and people can overreact to that. And so that, I'm throwing out some other potentials. But a good rule of thumb, if someone is asking you to cut off your support system, you should.
That's a huge red flag.
You should be careful how you proceed. You should be careful how you. Okay.
My husband and his family disowned his mom after her affair. I didn't. Now the emotional consequences are taking a toll on my marriage. What do I do?
This is one of these things. She's actually doing the right thing in a long term. By disowning, it's not your children's place to punish their parents for their behavior. Not with their other parent. You can be upset with them.
This is the wife.
Yes.
Of the husband.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Her husband's mom had an affair.
Yes.
And her husband and his family have, and other sibling has a sibling.
Everybody's disowned her.
They're not talking to her. This is okay. They have that right, but she's not part of that family. She can choose to communicate with whomever she wishes.
Mm-hmm.
And are there children involved? Do we know?
No, I don't know.
Okay. So she's thinking long term. She's not caught up in the emotional hurt of a family being dissolved.
Yeah.
She's thinking long term that in 5-7 years, maintaining these connections will have value. And so here's what you do. You maintain your connections quietly. There's no need to talk about them. You're allowed to have your own personal. You don't lie. There's no reason to lie either. But if you have a weekly phone call, you have your weekly phone call in private. And there's no reason for anybody else to.
The only person who knows everyone I talk to is you. I'm not out there broadcasting.
Nobody needs to know. Your husband doesn't need to know. And he'll stop asking. So let it be, and the natures will take its course. That's my suggestion. Just stop trying to be the intermediary. That's not your role.
Mm-hmm. No, not until they ask you.
You're like Switzerland in this particular case. You get to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you tell everybody that you're talking to everybody.
No.
No. You play old Switzerland on this kind of thing, right? And you send the Christmas card by yourself, signed by yourself. You can give her updates on, but so I'm with her. Be strong. Just be quiet. My guess is she's probably trying to place the mediator, intermediary game. Don't do that. It's not going to work.
No,
No,
not until they ask you to do it.
no.
Yeah.
So, because when someone gets sick and they will want connection again. And
Yeah.
So, okay.
My husband played video games while I was in horrible pain, and I feel alone. How do I address what happened? She was passing a kidney stone.
Yeah, but this is one of these things. No one knows what to do with somebody else who's going through these things. Because when men go through pain, we generally speaking like to be left alone. Generally speaking, nothing else no one can do. So why should everybody else be miserable? That's why you see a bunch of men alone in the hospital. Not because they don't have people that come. They don't really want people to see. And so we have a hard time relating. So here's what you do. You tell him what you need from him next time this thing comes up. Don't worry about the past. That is past. And the next time this comes up, I need you to be more present because I can't ask for what I need at that time because I'm thinking other, right?
Mm-hmm. I need you to be more attentive
Attentive
to my needs.
Yeah. Worry about the future. Don't make it about the past event. Make it about the future.
Future.
Yeah.
Future. This is what I need from you going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry about the past because you'll get caught up in that. And you don't want to get caught up in that. You want to worry about the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know it's hard because it's an emotional hurt. But before you deal with your emotional hurt, deal with the future. Then once you've got that dealt with, then you can go back and you can deal with the, hey, it emotionally hurt me that from my perspective, you chose video games over my pain.
Yeah.
He may not have realized you were in as much pain. For all he knows, for all we know, she took a couple pills, she went to her bed and she's writhing in bed in pain. And so he's just playing, for all he knows, he went to sleep because we're dense that way. A text, I hurt. Can you spend time with me? Oh, yeah, guys, got to go, guys. And we're off, Give us a problem to solve. And that's a little trick. Give us something we can solve.
Uh-huh.
We're right there. We're just kind of standing around, just being there. We're not good at that. We're just not good at that. It takes a lot of work. It takes more work to do that than to go off and fix stuff. We can fix stuff. We can solve problems. It might be a lot of work, but we understand that. We don't understand just sitting around and just being there. Not that we can't sit around and being there, but when we sit around and being there.
You're supposed to engage emotionally.
We don't know how to do that the way you guys do.
Verbally.
But we don't know how to do it's not how we do our emotions. We go bang on things. That's how we deal with our emotions. You guys think we don't deal with our emotions. We deal with our emotions. We just deal with them differently. And so that's why we have such a hard, it's all men are from Mars, women are from Venus thing. Those people were smart.
Yeah, they are.
Because it's just like we see completely different worlds. And yet somehow nature has decided we have to work together. And because in order to work together, and we have to work together because we have to do parenting. And this moves us on into parenting questions. All right. So what do we got?
How are there so many stay-at-home moms in this economy?
Well, what do you mean? It's people choose their lifestyle over their economic over.
Yeah.
Well, it's not cheap to put your child in daycare.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to only make, after all things considered, you're only going to have an extra $10,000-$15,000, you might as well.
A year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well. Your children will be better off. Your family will be better off. And it's not just stay-at-home moms, it's a stay-at-home parent. Doesn't matter which one it is. This is something that is changing.
Yes, very much so. I see it in my neighborhood.
Where a lot of the men are staying home, taking care of the kids, taking care of the house.
2 or 3 that I can think right off the top of my head.
And they kind of do like the old things. They have a little side job they do. Maybe they make, build a couple websites or something, like in the old days when we'd work at the little boutique at the shop when the kids were at school, work 3 hours, be a secretary for a couple hours a day when the kids are at school, that kind of thing. Fathers are doing the same kind of thing. But the most important part of their job is to take care of the house, of the home. And the home is taking care of house and taking care of home is more than cooking, cleaning, and doing dishes. It's about creating an environment that people want to be. That's enriching to people's lives. It's rewarding. That recharges people. You know how important that is? And then you get to send them back out into the world to do it again the next day. That's a powerful thing. And no, you don't get rewarded with it in cash. But cash isn't the only reward in life. Sometimes the biggest reward in life is seeing your family succeed. When your family succeeds, you happen to have more resources to spend on helping your family succeed. You get to set the foundation for the success of your family when you are a homemaker. Why wouldn't people want to do that? You are a full human being. You are just as much a full human being as someone who's out there, climbing a corporate ladder or starting their own small business. You're just as important as anybody else. Just as valuable. And just because the value can't be measured in a paycheck doesn't mean it's not more valuable than people who get large paychecks.
See, I've done both. So I know how much doing a 40-hour week, man, takes out of you. It really does. So when I'm the person who's at home, I try to take care of as much as humanly possible in the house. So when they come home, my better half comes home, they can relax, have a meal, we can spend time together, talk, reconnect, and rest.
Yeah, it's a place to come. You come home and recharge.
Yeah.
That's the. So yes, that's you want to know why there are so many stay-at-home moms?
That's
because
why.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
That's why. Because they view it's worth it. Maybe they've had to sacrifice some lifestyle choices. Maybe they've had to cancel some subscription accounts and you don't get the new car this year, or you don't get to have the pool or all the various things they have to say no to. But they do it because it's worth it. Maybe they don't get to go to Disneyland. Mm-hmm. It's all right. They have each other. Yeah. Okay.
4-year-old always getting into everything, breaking everything, losing things. What to do?
They're 4. You wait till they're 6. That's what you do.
Sorry.
There's really, yes, they're always going to be
getting. That's a 4-year-old.
Yeah, they're getting down to everything is because everything's new and interesting and exciting. So they're looking, they're exploring, they're trying things. They're supposed to be doing that. Breaking everything is a consequence of that because they're still clumsy and you don't know how things work. And that's why so why people baby-proof and toddler-proof their house, because you try to keep them from breaking things that will hurt them. But at the same time, this is an important part of development. They need to be able to do this. You have to explore the world around them. This is when they find out how drawers and dressers and cabinets and things work. This is when they're learning that stuff. And so they're losing things because they pay no attention to where they put it down.
They literally throw it.
Literally throw it. And it may not even be thrown on purpose. They could have a little mini temper tantrum flying out their hand and nobody has any idea where it went. That's just the way they are. But my suggestion is, as always, wait till they're 6, and then you can start about force. I mean, luckily, she's actually on the tail end of it. Right about here now is when you can actually start training them to put things away, to clean up after themselves. You know, their hand-eye coordination starts to function. They're starting to learn how cabinets and drawers and dressers and all these things work. So she's really actually on the tail end of it, which is really the really hard part of it, because you've been through it for 2.5 years at this point, and you're just exhausted from it. And you're going, when will this end? Well, it never really ends. It just evolves into something different. So
It never really ends.
it never really ends.
Sorry.
You're
welcome to parenthood.
It just gets into something different. This annoyance changes.
It just changes.
This particular annoyance will go away all on its own. All new and interesting annoyances will show up. And we're not going to tell you about them because no one else will either.
It all depends on the child.
Yeah, the child. I had 5 children. They're all different. So
Yeah.
Okay, what's next?
My kid sleeps through the loudest alarm on the market. 18, I put months, it's years. He's 18 years old.
Oh, yeah. Because so this is the difficult one, because yes, an 18-year-old will sleep through the loudest alarm because it's not necessarily the loudness. You have to find the tone, the sounds, the whatever it is that wakes them up.
Okay.
Just try different things. There will be something that wakes them up. It could be strange. It could be creaking doors. It could be footsteps. Whatever it, doesn't necessarily have to be loud. It's just something that triggers inside of his brain that it's time to wake up. But this is fairly common for 18-year-olds.
It is.
It's
very common.
It's very common.
I was 18 in the Army. I got so much trouble all the time.
So
being late for muster in the morning, fall out.
Yeah. So, it's not some failure on your part. It's just what happens through teenagers. So you try different things. This is actually the nice thing about modern clocks and cell phones and alarms, is you can try all kinds of different tones and songs and whatnot. And maybe a song may do it.
Song. Yeah. Try a song too.
Try his favorite song. Whatever the favorite song of the moment is, try that one. So it may change every week, but try the favorite song. You're just going to have to try different things. Different tones, different volumes. Clearly volume isn't the answer, so you have to try something else.
Yeah.
And a bucket of ice water always works.
Stop it.
Well, hey man, sometimes they need to. Hey, if I won't wake up, throw water on me. Sometimes it happens. You have to get up. It's time to get up. They never did that to you in the Army?
No one would come and get you.
Your bunkmates wouldn't?
No.
Oh man, how rude.
My alarm was going off. I would sleep right through it.
See, get shoved out of bed in the men's military. I would suspect if your alarm was sitting there going off, annoying everybody. They're making you get up. I have a suspicion. Not your sergeant. No. The guys who got to sleep with you is going to make your ass get up. But I don't know. Just guessing that the men's barracks and barracks work a little differently.
Yes.
Yes, I just suppose. Okay, what's next?
Now, I wanted to know what you thought about this. Child needs to memorize a phone number, make it their tablet unlock code.
Well, yeah, but now you've got an unlock code that's your phone number that the child needs to remember. That's not necessarily good security. But here's the thing. Not all children can remember sequences of numbers. So you're asking your child to remember something that they may not be able to remember. And I understand why you want someone to remember a phone number. I get it. Here, so you can call my parents, right? If you're ever in any trouble, here's a number. But not all children can learn sequences of numbers. It's a good try. I'm not saying don't try it.
Mhm.
I'm just saying you have to realize that you may be having a child that you're going to have to think of a different strategy, connect it to a word or a song or something. You may have to. You can ask one of the, AI things to make a song out of your phone number and have them learn the phone number.
That's a great idea.
So, you don't know. It's not a bad effort. As their tablet never leaves home. Okay. It's not a bad effort. But I'm just saying, be prepared that not all children can remember those sequences of numbers.
Okay.
So, maybe put it into a song, which is actually a good idea. I wish I had just thought of that when I was younger. Raising kids. So there. Okay.
The 7th grader constantly late for school.
Okay. How is your 7th grader constantly late for school? Because as a parent, you're the one who sends them out the door. So are they not leaving the house in time, or are they dilly-dallying on the way?
Not leaving the house in time.
Well, my daughter often had to change and finish getting dressed in the car. Because the bus was leaving and you're going. Well, we don't take the bus, but I was driving. And so Summer would often have to finish putting her shoes and socks and stuff on in the car. Somebody didn't want to get out of the get moving this morning. I am not a morning person. You don't mess with me in the mornings. Right? It just not happen. So
You're not very forgiving at
I am not
7 a.m.
I am not at all forgiving at 7 a.m. So yeah, you control the clock. So stop blaming the child. I mean, it's not an 18-year-old who's sleeping through his alarm here. It's 7th grader.
Mm-hmm.
So they are a teenager, I suppose. Well, now this was one you've got to do this now because you've got to be solid on this right now. Because you don't want this in the 9th grade where this child is having the same problem.
Yes.
Take care of this one now. You set your exit time, and that child is leaving even if his shoes aren't on. Yeah. But I don't have my pants on. Well, you should have thought about that 3 minutes ago. You're out the door. I'm serious. It only has to happen once or twice, and then we get ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fast.
Yeah. And that's what will happen. They will learn how to throw clothes on fast. It's not that they're going to start getting up earlier. Don't expect that. They will get ready faster. But you don't care how they solve the problem. Your problem is they got to be ready by the time you're walking out the door. You don't care how they solve it, just that they solve it. So if their solution is, I'm just going to get ready faster, I'm going to skip breakfast, I'm going to whatever, fine. It's not your problem. Your problem is getting them out the door on time. That's your problem.
Have a breakfast bar, one of those.
Do that later.
Bars.
You want after they've succeededly figured out how to get out the door, then you will be able to feed their needs. Like if they're skipping breakfast so they can get out the door on time, then to slip a breakfast bar in their pocket of their jacket or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? These are the kind of after you know how they solved it. Don't do it before they've solved it because you're solving problems that you don't know if exist or not.
Let them solve the problems.
Let them solve their problem.
Yeah.
So you give them. You got to be ready by the time we're out the door. I don't care how you do it, but you're ready. I don't care if you're wearing slippers and you can be in your pajamas for all I care. We're leaving the house at this time of day. I don't care. We're leaving, and that's how you solve the problem. And then again, you allow them to solve the problem. They're 7th grade. They're going to have to start solving their own problems. So this is a solution. This is a perfect opportunity for them to gain that confidence and those skills.
Mhm.
Okay.
My daughter won't let me do her hair. Now she's 10 years old.
Uh-huh.
The mother is white. The father's black.
Uh-huh.
And this little 10-year-old's friends are saying it's racist that your mom does your hair.
Oh, we live in such a wacky world. The needs, coming from somebody who knows, the needs of a child with interracial hair. All my children are interracial. So I have vast experience in this. The needs are individual and unique.
Mhm.
And so I could do nothing but slap my daughter's hair in a ponytail and get it out the door. That's it. Anything more sophisticated than that, I had to take to someone who knew how to mess with hair, because her hair was complicated. There was no way. I would have had to learn how to deal with hair. My daughter was the last one. I had raised 4 boys. Now I got a girl with complicated hair. Not this kind of complicated hair, nice, thick, complicated hair. So that would curl up in its semi-afro.
And I tried to touch her hair once.
Yeah.
It was not good. That was not welcome.
No.
No.
And her and her mother used to get in all kinds of blow-ups over her doing her hair. And so.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. That solves a 15-year-old
Yeah.
puzzle.
It became a thing. And so it's one of those times where I had to put my foot down and go, just, no, we're not going to argue over hair. She's old enough to deal with her hair how she wants to deal with it. And
10 years old. Can she do her hair? Can she do her own hair?
Yeah. So it was
that's when I started doing my hair. And my girls too, around 10 years old.
I think it was younger than that, but I'm just not listening to this anymore. I'm just not doing it's hair. I'm not dealing with it. And so anyway, one of those things. So yeah. Racist. No, of course it's not racist. But we live in such a terrible world.
Your mother.
Yeah. Now, is that the reason why your daughter won't let you do her hair, though? Your daughter just may not like how you do your hair. Let's be honest here. She's 10. And she may be using her friends as an excuse to tell you, I don't like how you're doing my hair.
Ooh.
What? You mean your daughter's lying to her mother because she doesn't want to be front? No, that's never happened. Blaming your friends? Because so you don't. I want to do my own hair. My friends say it's racist that you do my hair, so I'm going to. Yeah, something doesn't. Upon further inspection, something smells fishy. Yes, we live in it's just believable enough to not be believable. Yeah, I could see it happening, but I could see someone using that as an excuse to get their parents to leave their hair alone.
Yeah. I have 3 girls.
So both of these are possible. One's more likely than the other. We'll let the audience decide which one is more likely.
Yeah.
Our solution is to 10 years old, let her do her own hair.
Yeah.
She's the one who's got to look stupid. It's not a reflection on you. Parents gave that up long ago.
Yeah, you got to let that one go.
Yeah, it's not a reflection on you.
Yeah, because teenage years is coming and you're really going to have to be gracious there.
We let that go in the 60s.
Yeah.
It's just that ship sailed in the 60s. So let it go. She's the one who has to look silly. Let her do her own hair. Okay.
How do you find time for yourself as a parent? Well, you don't get huge chunks of time. You get moments. You get a cup of tea. You get 3 minutes meditation. you get nice hand lotion for, the hands feel good. You get moments.
Well, that's the thing. You take advantage of the time when you have them. Be mindful to take advantage of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. To acknowledge that I have 10 minutes where I can sit down and do nothing. So sit down and do nothing. Doom scroll. Maybe go back to the.
Don't always be looking for something to do.
Yeah, there's always stuff to do. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Except that you don't have to. But also, sometimes you have to make time.
Make time.
And that's what aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas are for. So that's my other one. All right, we got some more questions.
How to politely tell my boss I'm not able to do that task because it isn't part of my job and I'm not paid highly enough.
Oh, well, that's a good way to get yourself on the first laid off list. Well, I mean, it depends upon the job. But if you're like an office worker and someone's telling you to do something else, you take the chance. You try it. Because the first time you try a new task, it's an opportunity to show them that you can do something more. Not just them, yourself. What are you afraid of? That it's not your job? Okay, fine. But lots of us do things that aren't technically our jobs because that's how you get stuff done. There's lots of things that are in your job that you may not think are in your job. Now, it may be a bigger project than you want to take on. It may have more responsibility than you want to take on, but maybe there's an opportunity coming up that you will want to take on. And the only way you're going to get that opportunity is to show that you can. And there's a difference between a one-off thing versus a vast change in your job description. There's a project coming up and they're asking you to do something that's a little outside your scope, then it's because they're looking at you to do something more than you're doing now.
Excuse me.
That's why they're doing it. Now, you may not be interested, and you can just say no. And knowing that your whatever mobility you have, at least within that company, is going to end, you're going to be stuck right where you're at, which might be fine. You might be happy with that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people are.
But, a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
And maybe management sucks and you don't want to hire a role in it. So, there's lots of reasons why you might not want to do it. But the easiest way is, I don't want this kind of responsibility. Just tell them I don't want this kind of responsibility. Never, ever say it's outside of my job description. I don't even care if it's a sucky job. Never talk about money until after you've figured out what the exact role is. I don't want that responsibility. Because you're being clear with everybody. That's really what it's about. If it was about money, you'd be thinking about the future and the opportunity that something like this would bring about. So it's not about money. You don't want to do it for some reason, which is fine. Fine. You're allowed to not want to do it. You're allowed to not want to climb corporate ladders. You're allowed to not want to, join the rat race. Just saying that you are signaling to your boss that you are not part of that. And they will never look at you again. So, all I'm saying is be mindful of not just how you do it, but why you're doing it. But the how is easy. I don't want this kind of responsibility.
Yeah.
It's more responsibility than I've signed up for, and I don't want this kind of responsibility. So, okay.
Coworker always offering me a ride home and can't take no for an answer. She rides the bus.
Just tell them you like riding the bus.
She reads. It's her time to decompress. She gets home to her family and she takes on that role. This is her time alone. sitting in a bus, but it's her alone time in her book.
Yeah. Some people, I don't understand it, but some people like riding the bus. She likes riding the bus. So just tell the person, I just like riding the bus. See, and people who don't understand it at all. I cannot comprehend someone who likes riding a bus or public. I can't comprehend it, but I do accept that there are people who do. And so when someone tells me they do, I accept it. Don't understand it at all. Not in the least. Can't wrap my pretty little head around it. But but I get it that they do. So the answer is I just like riding the bus.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
What advice would you give to someone starting out in the corporate world?
Well, it's pretty much the same advice that I just answered to the other question. Is be mindful of your opportunities. Take on opportunities to fail, because your willingness to take on difficult tasks are what gets you noticed, not your success or failure. How do you think all those people who are blubbering idiots get promoted? It's because they're the ones willing to take on difficult tasks that are highly likely to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, I'll do it. And because they can be trusted to try, they are the ones who get noticed and promoted. Because their bosses dang well know that task was likely going to fail regardless of who did it. But someone had to do it anyway. And so don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid to not try. That's it. Okay.
What's the shortest duration after boomeranging it is safe to leave the job? She ended a long job, immediately took a job that didn't do enough research on. Now she hates it. And how long does she have to be there before she quits?
Well, probably until you find a new job. But
yeah,
there is no more stigma, right? That's gone. The whole job hopping stigma has ended, especially if you're in a role that you just don't like. It just wasn't a fit.
Yeah.
No one's going to mind that you just, the place I'm at is just not a fit. So, but if you're really miserable and you have enough of a nest egg for 6-9 months, in an economy that's difficult to find a job, then you quit whenever you want. That's no longer a barrier to re-enter.
Okay.
I get it. For those of us who, you grew up in the 70s, 80s, and even 90s, I suppose, job hopping was seen as a bad thing.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that ship has sailed. Yeah, companies aren't loyal to employees, employees aren't loyal to companies, and that is now completely accepted across everything. So now individual companies may or may not like it, but on the broad scope, no one cares. It's just now accepted.
Mm.
There is no loyalty.
No,
there never was.
No, there never really was.
there never ever was. And so we all just accept it now. Okay.
I responded to a salary expectation question, and now I worry I might get a low proposal.
That is the question. But most of the time, you have a salary range. You know what the salary range is, and you know how much experience you have, and you pick a number in that range that is appropriate for you. And it's very difficult because you want the job, so you don't want to
Yeah.
But you also don't want to underestimate yourself, because part of that thing is if you underestimate yourself, they may not hire you either. We want someone who's a little more confident in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not willing to ask for the top third, we don't have any need for you. If you don't think good enough of yourself to ask for the top third of our salary range, why should we think good of you?
Because I really need a job.
Well, yeah, but it's from an interview or screening thing.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there with a couple candidates and you really need you really need someone who's going to come in here who's a go-getter and who's going to, it might be wrong, because the person you might actually need might be the person who's willing to undersell themselves a little, so they, because they have a little less experience, so they'll take a little less money for the opportunity, and they're going to run with it harder than anybody else would versus someone who's got more experience, more success, but they're set in their ways. And so it's not an easy task. It's not. And so you put in the number you're going to be comfortable with, and you just go with that. And you let the chips fall where they may, because that's what everybody else is doing. You'd be surprised how many people are just making stuff up as they go along. Everybody thinks, oh, everybody got all these great plans. No. 2/3, if not more, of the world are just making stuff up as they go along.
Really?
Just like the rest of it.
Yeah.
If not more.
Sorry.
I'm probably being pretty generous.
You are 2/3. More like 80%.
So just as long as you're
We're
comfortable.
all just out here trying the best we can, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
The answer to this question is as long as you're comfortable with the number you put down, then it doesn't matter.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
I only have work-related conversations with coworkers. Does it look bad?
To who? That's my question. Look bad to who? Who are you trying to look good to?
I was just kind of concerned about this because everybody talks about work, relationships, And he's like, okay, am I doing something wrong then?
They're probably not that interesting, so don't worry about it.
Yeah. They're probably just really happy that you communicate well about work. That's what you're there for. They're happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We've talked about this before.
That's a bonus.
Yeah, friends at work are a bonus. You're working with these people. You don't have to like them.
Yeah.
You don't have to dislike them. They're just people you work with.
Yeah.
And so if you're having a functional work-related conversation with people, then you're having a functional work-related conversation with people. Don't worry about anything else.
Yeah. You're doing good.
Unless, of course, you want to have a deeper conversation with some of these people.
There we go.
Then you just start having them. But my guess is he doesn't. He's just...
yeah. No, he was just wondering if he was doing something wrong.
Yeah. I never talk about what my TV shows. And yeah, you just don't. You don't need to. You don't need to talk about the TV shows you're watching. You don't need to talk about your hobbies. None of that is required. Sometimes it happens, but it doesn't have to be. You like to be by yourself. You don't hang out in the break room at break time or whatever, or your office doesn't have formal break times. And you may never have an opportunity. But there's nothing worse than a forced conversation. So whatever conversations you do or don't have, just let them happen naturally.
There you go.
Don't worry about it so much. Okay.
Does it look bad to have a new company if your current company declines the 2-week notice period?
No, most companies decline 2-week notice periods. No one.
Yeah, they usually do.
Especially if you have access to sensitive information and things like that. They cut you off pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They cut you off pretty. So it's just standard. It's because once you've left, you've left. And once you've mentally left, you've left.
Yeah.
And so we call it short timers disease.
Yes.
Yeah. You're good for the first week of a 2-week notice. People are usually pretty good. And then you let them go. You can get all kinds of things settled the first week. And then the second week is they're marking time. And so a lot of times people pay you for it and go on, see you, thanks.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but a lot of times if you had a good relationship, you're putting in the good effort. So no, it doesn't look bad at all. So
yeah.
It's just standard procedure. Okay.
Now we're on to some intimacy questions.
Okay.
How do I get rid of hickeys and the smell of sex? People have been wondering about that for eons. We don't know. You can't. You can try and take a shower, but hickeys, man, what are you going to put makeup on and wear a scarf?
Well, the only way
everybody knows.
Well, the only way to get rid of literally to deal with the hickeys is to put ice on it like right after, but no one ever does, so that's never going to work. But
really,
yeah.
Oh, as you can tell, she's young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some can cover makeup, and they call them bug bites and whatnot. But Don't worry about it so much. My suggestion. The world don't care.
No one cares.
No one cares. Unless you're too young. But assuming they're all adults here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one cares.
She's 18.
No one cares.
And she's just foraging out into.
No one cares.
She's having a good time. But, you know.
Well, your friends may care. But no one outside your friend group is going to give two blind.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Sorry.
Yeah. Everybody has their own things in their own life to worry about. They're not worried about whether you're out there having fun or not. Well, except maybe the guys at the bar. But they would care whether you had the hickey or not anyway. So it's not going to matter. Okay.
Okay, now here's a philosophical intimacy question.
Uh-huh.
Do I sleep with a terminally ill married friend? It's one of his, you know, he's always wanted to do this with her.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but why?
Ooh.
Just because you always wanted to do something doesn't
mean you get to.
I mean, does she or is this purely philosophical? Or is this like
No, this is supposedly a thing.
what, like she wants to as well?
No, she's just wondering if if she should, because, well, he's ill. He's terminally ill.
No, but
should she give this to him? She doesn't really feel right about it because he's married.
yeah, no. Just because you're dying doesn't mean you. I mean, it's nice to even consider it, but no.
I mean, he's married. He has his wife he can be intimate with. He still has intimacy in his life. It's not like this is his last hurrah. Come on. I can't believe he did this to her.
No, but here's the question. What does his wife say?
Oh, I did. There was nothing in there about that. I guess she doesn't really know.
No, well, I'd stay out of it unless you actually had a desire to not. So the fact that she's even reluctant.
I know. She's just not. No, don't do it. You're going to regret it, man.
It's not going to be fun for anybody.
It really won't.
No. So why? Okay.
Okay, when using a condom, is it assumed you will finish inside, or is this something I should always be asking regardless? Now, this is a guy, and he's over 18, and he's really starting to come into his own, okay, right?
Yeah.
And he's just wondering about protocol.
Well, okay, here's the thing about protocol. There is none.
So I would ask every time, dude. But you can ask beforehand. You should be having conversation before anything really happens.
You're talking about 18-year-olds. They're not going to have these conversations.
They better learn how.
Hey, at least they're using condoms. So
we should only ask for so much.
I'm saying. Well, let's set some bars that they can jump over here. So I'm just impressed that they're even considering these kinds of things. But the nice thing about using a condom is it kind of doesn't matter so much, regardless of. Now, there's always chances of breakage, but there's always chances of breakage regardless. So it is what it is. So I don't know.
I would. Well, you're talking about a possible pregnancy here. I would really I would err on the side of caution and ask.
Yes, we would, but we're not 18 in the middle of the.
But he's on Reddit, so he wants to do the right thing.
Yes, but the right thing on this thing does change based upon the person, and so I don't know. the proper answer for this one. This is one of these things that you have to figure out because there is no standard protocol for this type of thing, despite the however long we've been having sex with prophylactics. There is no standard protocol. Doesn't exist. The standard protocol is you be as accommodating to your partner as you can. So whatever she kind of wants, you kind of follow along.
Okay. Gonna ask right at the last minute, aren't you?
Well, sexier during the conversation, during the act than before. You want to spoil the mood. Start talking about how you want to finish.
You can make it a date question, casually over dinner.
Well, now there are things, I suppose these days with the things like Cards Against Humanity and whatnot out there, you probably have a sex questions, Cards Against Humanity type thing where you could actually find these things out with a robust game around the table with your friends. You could probably find out some of these answers. But it might be fun, I suppose. So I'm not saying not find out. I'm just trying to balance the realistic line here of what are 18 and 19-year-olds actually going to follow through with. And you're not going to have this. Okay, most of them aren't going to have this conversation beforehand because it's just a good way to spoil sexy time. And so at least at risk, it's a high percentage risk of ruining sexy time. And so, yeah, it's one of these things you kind of ask 2/3 of the way through.
Okay. I could go with that. But I'm thinking from a female perspective, I would want to have a warning.
Yes, but from a female perspective, wouldn't you want to, if you are, and I've never met one, are actually that worried at that moment, wouldn't you ask? You take it upon yourself to let me know what your preference is. I want you to finish on my chest, on my whatever it is. Wouldn't you think?
You should know.
Yeah, see? It's amazing we have God. You couldn't answer that one, could you?
It depends on what day, what I want.
Exactly. So that's why you ask right around 2/3 of the way through. You let the other person know where the finish line is.
Well, thinking back, I always kind of let it be known, but it's just because I want what I want.
Yeah, but my guess is about 2/3 of the way.
I wasn't really thinking about. I was always on the pill because I didn't want to worry about that. But
Yeah, but about 2/3 of the way, you kind of know where you want the finish line.
Yeah, I'm in the mood for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
That's true.
I think nature takes its course as long as you're.
Well, that's a good one. We always come around to a good answer. You know that?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Is spooning while holding your partner's breast sexual? Okay, he spoons with his wife, and he says his hands just naturally go there.
Well, they do, because that's just kind of where
everything is.
Yeah,
right?
That's where stuff lines up. Yeah,
and his wife is saying, "No, don't do that. Now you want sex. You're making it sexual. This isn't spooning anymore.
We want sex regardless of that, so that's nothing to do with it." If you want to listen, ladies, if you want to have a spooning thing where you have no chance of him getting you're going to have to play the big spoon.
Curl up to the back.
You're asking too much. You're putting the private parts right around one of our favorite parts. You're putting our arms right where nature's going to put them right around one of our other favorite parts. Hello, McFly. What are you talking about? You're like asking nature to not take its course. It's just the fact that we could ever control ourselves in that situation. Frankly, you guys should be amazed. So if you really just want to sit there and you're going to have to be on the big spoon. You have to be on the other side on occasion.
That's a good compromise. There we go.
Because you're just, be amazed that he can make it 10 minutes for the love of God. It's like,
No, you have to spend the night.
that's not possible.
You have to go to sleep.
It's not possible. Because our arm will fall asleep. And then we can't feel it. Then it starts to hurt.
And we can't move you because you're asleep.
And then we're trying to figure out how the hell do I get out of this without twisting my back. And so, yeah. So, which is probably the thing that saves it from getting all because if that didn't happen, then we would get all romantically revved up. So you're kind of lucky that happens. Because then we can't do anything because it takes 20 minutes for our arm to feel like human again. Okay. Did we miss this one on purpose?
Oh, no. Am I sexually repressed because I've never dated and no outlet for my sex drive? 21-year-old female.
No. You have never dated.
No, it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It'll happen when you find the right one. And you will.
Yeah, you just haven't.
It'll happen.
Yeah. I mean, you're a 20-year-old woman. You can go out and have sex whenever you want, pretty much. So the reality is you haven't wanted it enough yet.
Yeah. Because everybody knows you go to a bar, you hang out, and you're approached, Yeah,
women, you don't even have to be attractive as a woman.
No.
No.
You buy your own drinks, you're just in like Flynn.
So, yeah, it's relatively easy. Not, now, difficult to find a suitable partner, I suppose. But if you just want a partner, it's relatively easy. If you want a suitable partner.
No, well, that's another. You didn't say that. She was talking about sex.
But I'm assuming because she made it to 71, she's got some standards.
21.
Oh, 21. Yeah, sorry. Since she's made it to 21, she has some standards.
Yes.
Yes, she clearly does. So it's all good. I'm proud of her.
Yeah.
Proud of her for that. Maintain your standards. That's
Yeah. Not easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Of course, sex without a condom feels better for the male, but does it typically feel noticeably better for the female? I can't tell any difference with or without. Doesn't matter. Can't feel a thing either way.
See, there you go. There's the answer to that.
So you just have to suck it up, Buttercup, because that's just the way it goes.
Well, that's hardly fair.
Oh, so sad. I'm crying.
Not only do you guys get multiple orgasms, we have to take the low end of the feeling spectrum too. That's just not right.
Until you get into a relationship, then you can ditch the condom.
Yeah, see, there you go. That's why you get married and have relationships. Realistically, people ask why. Well, what does men get out of marriage? Well, you get to ditch the condom. That's
what you get.
That's what you get. Modern day, that's what you get. That's all. That's kind of what it is. But there's a bit of trust that comes with that, and so
it comes with time.
There's more to it than that, but that was a funny way to end the show. So we're going to end it on that. Have a good night, everybody. From me and Lubby, we will see you next week. I'm going to have to write this script on these things. Have a good night, and please remember to love everybody.